Now this is the brand new INEOS Grenadier Quartermaster. It's a twin cabin pickup truck, and it's the latest iteration of the INEOS Grenadier. Of course, you had the station wagon model that came out a few years ago. It's all the dream of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the British billionaire who once loved the Land Rover Defenders. Now we're here, in case you didn't notice, in wonderful South Africa. I've got my scarf on. And we're in the Baviaanskloof, which is a World Heritage Site. Took us about 165 kilometers from Port Elizabeth by road. And this is, as a matter of fact, the third largest nature reserve in South Africa. And a beautiful, beautiful place indeed. It's home to many, many indigenous animals, mammals. Baviaanskloof actually means valley of the baboons. There are baboons, there are buffaloes, there is the rare black rhino here. But more importantly, there are some wonderful, wonderful driving roads, rather perilous driving roads, very narrow driving roads that have cliffs to one side, but fantastic scenery up ahead of you. Now I'm going to be driving this wonderful machine, well, variations of this wonderful machine throughout the next 2 to 3 days. Now let's talk about the engine a little bit. Under the bonnet sits a 3-liter BMW B58 engine with an inline-six-cylinder and a turbocharged at that. It will produce 282 brake horsepower and about 450 Newton meters of torque. The gearbox, also taken from a BMW, is an 8-speed ZF gearbox. Of course, it's a 4-wheel drive car. Very, very capable of conquering this wonderful geography. So for the next couple of days, I'm going to be staying at a fantastic glamping camp just down the road over here, driving this car, taking this car through its paces. Here we go, day number 1. Car is loaded. We're gonna head towards that national park that I can't pronounce right now. It's called Baviaanskloof.
And you need to do this. I'm not joking. That's nothing.
Perhaps, yeah. You see, we got it all packed up and about to go shortly. Now you can see the cars neatly lined up right behind me. We did a little coffee stop here. Got about 10 more kilometers of tarmac, and then it's going to get pretty hairy, as they told us. So it's going to be off-roading from there on, and then after a while, sun's going to come down. It's about 4 o'clock now. We got about 4 hours to go, so the sun's going to come down, and we're actually going to enter the park in the as the sun comes down. But for now, let me show you some of these beautiful cars. And we've actually stopped here at a beautiful kind of little cafe in between, and they've just told us that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the gentleman of course behind the INEOS brand, and of course INEOS Grenadier and many other kinds of business ventures, has done this kind of journey, especially the part of the journey we're about to do himself. So the pioneer has done it, and now it's our turn. Well, here we are at the gates of the Baviaanskloof Nature Reserve, and I'm about to go in now. The sun is coming down, which means this 24-kilometer journey is about to get a lot more arduous than it has already been. But you know, we're ready for it. Our cars, our differentials have been fixed just so, and we're gonna head out shortly. Well, largely the night drive was pretty smooth, but at one point we had a tire puncture. I'll let my friend Fahad explain more on that should you wish to hear. But we ended up changing cars. We got into a new car with no GPS and some directions on how to get to camp. soon enough, we lost our way. We ended up in a deep river, which we thought, you know what, let's do it. Let's try the wade function. We were through. We were about halfway. And at that time, panic had set in pretty deeply. And we were thinking, do we reverse? Do we continue? But then the marshals luckily found us and dragged us out. And then we went back to camp. When I say dragged us out, of course, we just reversed up. Because these cars can actually go down to about 80 to 100 centimeters in deep water. Well, anyway, we don't have much footage of the night, but we do have the awesome memory to remember it. Well, I just woke up. It was a very comfortable night, but it was a very cold night once I got out of bed. It happened a couple of times overnight. Very nice fresh air, I gotta say. Great night's sleep. But now that I'm up, it's about 6:30 a.m. Well, close to 7, I think, because the sun is up. And it's pretty cold here in the tent, if I'm honest. I slept with my fleece and my cashmere layers and my hat and everything. There is a heated blanket here, which does help. And when I woke up, there was this basket, and inside it, what they gave us is a flask of warm water. I believe these are, and of course we had some water last night. Oh, there's some kind of biscotti in there. I think what I'm going to do now is make some coffee, warm up a little bit, and then go out and explore, because obviously we came to camp late last night. It was completely dark, didn't really see anything, didn't really, well, just we heard some wild birds, that's it. Of course, had a wonderful dinner. Some great conversation by the fire pit, but didn't really get to explore outside. So you know, I think I'll have my coffee, tidy up my tent, my glamping tent, and then head out and explore what's happening today. And of course, today we're going to be doing a lot of driving, a lot of good driving, a lot of adventure. Yesterday's driving, I gotta say, was probably the most dangerous drive I've done in my life. I mean, those cliffs up those hills were very nerve-wracking, and the car is fantastically capable, but you can't think that human error can happen at any time. And you know, an error happens once. But anyhow, you know, let me have my coffee. Let's go out, let's explore a little bit, and then I'll probably go have breakfast. Although I usually intermittent fast, it's a good idea to eat when you can, when you're out here, I'm thinking. So I'll give the intermittent a pass for the next couple of days. Well, I think this is a good place to just run through what a quartermaster is, because you can literally see it over here. Now, a quartermaster, from what I've read, is a rank in the army. It's the rank of the army personnel that make sure a camp is set, a camp is supplied, and that all operations are running smooth. And to demonstrate, you can see a INEOS Grenadier Quartermaster right here. That's doing its job, because all the supplies are, you see, in the back over here. You see the a bunch of things. You've got some extra fuel there in the back. And as a matter of fact, you have an array of quartermasters over here, neatly just looking fantastic. Of course, bearing the grunt of yesterday's arduous drive. One of the most dangerous drives I've ever done in my life. So here we go. You can see the dust and the dirt everywhere. And as a matter of fact, I got to drive the INEOS Grenadier as well. So they call it the station wagon. We would just call it a 4x4, really. There it is. We got to drive that for a little while as well. If I'm honest, it felt a little bit sturdier than the Quartermaster, or maybe that was just me psychologically feeling it, because once I took the reins of this one here, the station wagon, as they call it. It was already dark, and maybe that was just me feeling that way. But anyway, let me show you a little bit more of this fantastic nature. Well, okay, I think it's time for breakfast. Well, the sun is up. I've put on some lighter layers and my trusted hat. And I think it's a good time to show you the tent before we set off for the first day's adventure. Now, the tents are glamping tents, so they're actually very, very comfortable indeed. So let me show you. I've got the tent number 13, lucky number 13 over here. Got a little veranda area here. I've already had my coffee. Just check out that fantastic sunshine that's just come up over the valley. I think it must be a little bit after 9 o'clock now, because that's when it rises up. But then we don't have a lot to do with time. So you've got these 2 layers, of course, this to keep the rain away. You got to keep this closed most of the time, because otherwise our lovely baboon friends will come. And here we go, voila. This is our well, my tent, my glamping tent. You've got electricity during the day, plugs in there, reading lamps, even slippers. You've got a wonderful double bed, very, very comfortable, electric blankets, which actually is a good idea to turn off while I'm away. Coffee gets delivered in the morning. Fantastic. Let's close this down while we do the tour. So, you know, I've got hung my clothes, got my luggage over there. Let me show it to you from this side as well. You've got water, hot water bottle, a lamp for emergencies. I think you need to unplug that. A radio for emergencies, insect repellent. They've thought of everything. Very, very comfortable. That electric blanket, so that's kind of over here, is fantastic. And if you thought that you have to leave and use the bathroom, you're very much mistaken, because your ensuite glamping tent is here. There you go. So you got a porta potty there, of course, light. Let's actually switch that light off as well. This is where you kind of wash your hands. So you gotta use that kind of water, free-flowing water. This is rather interesting. This opens up, they put a little funnel on top, and then this area literally becomes your shower. If I'm brave enough, later on today or tomorrow, I'll actually do a shower and demonstrate that, keeping it PG, of course, but just have a look at it, your view from your lavatory. I'm lucky enough, I've got one of the tents that's kind of on the corner of the camp, so I got a beautiful, quiet side of the camp. I mean, the only noise during the day is that slight generator noise that you can hear, but that goes off at night, and it's turns out fantastically. And yeah, so there we go. I remember I did a bit of glamping in Mongolia at the Three Camel Lodge many years ago on another auto trip, but this is something very, very different. That was in the Gobi. This is in the heart of Africa, South Africa. Beautiful nature reserve. Voila. Now let's head to that drive, shall we? And today we're gonna take this brilliant car through its paces. I have been driving it, to be honest, for the last couple of days, and now I've taken it for a bit of a solo drive to see how it does. So within the drive, of course, to make it safe for everybody, we've got a great support team here from INEOS. Very, very good pros. I think most of the team have been with them since the prototype, the launch, that kind of thing. So they've been working for about 4 years. Then, of course, each car is equipped with radios, rather good radios with proper antennas in the back. Apart from that, the cars are fantastically capable. You know, they have a weight function, which we're going to try in a little bit, high-low gear ratios, of course, and the performance is fantastic. The balance is great. You know, you really got to be a little careful on these roads, if I'm honest. there are a lot of rocks around. There's a lot of, you know, things you want to try and avoid. Well, there we go. Let's activate the wade feature. For that, you take off your seat belt, you put it there once, you press it again, so it's got to be in low. You press that twice, and then off we go. Well, have a look at that. Look how deep that water is right in front of you. And what you do is you're supposed to put down your windows. Of course, I've put down my window, but that camera in the front will hopefully show you how deep it's gone down. So the way to do it, from what I understand, is you put it into low gear ratio, and then it's activated. Look at that. Well, I'm kind of glad we put that camera in the front, because I can really get a good sense of how deep the water is now. Right now, the water, no joke, is about a meter. It really is about a meter right now. There we go. Well, that wade feature is really something, I gotta tell you. That really is something. And that kind of just completes this car. Look at that. Beautiful Antilope right there. Beautiful Antilope right there. That is just fantastic seeing these. Now, I think we got a bit of driving here. Of course, I'm going to be concentrating because to my right is a rather dangerous cliff. But all I'm concerned about is the road and getting up there safely and just enjoying this fantastic scenery. But while we've got a bit of time, I want to tell you about the history of the INEOS brand. Of course, INEOS brand, for those of us who might know about it, is the brainchild of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Of course, his business interests range from chemical industries to many more. The story is that Sir Jim is a big fan of the Land Rover Defenders. The true Defenders are discontinued, and you know, you've got the new ones, which are a little bit more gentle compared to the previous ones. So Sir Jim says, you know what, I'd like to continue buying the original Defenders, the more rugged one. JLR say no, we're not going to continue it. There's even talk that he volunteers to finance the continuation of the Defender. However, that also doesn't happen. JLR again say no. I guess they like saying no to certain things. And then Sir Jim says, okay, great. Then one day in London, at the now famous Grenadier pub, which Sir Jim now famously owns, along with 25% of Manchester United, if I may say so, and I think all the commercial rights for Manchester United. So I think that'll be very what do you call, successful. And while I'm telling you this wonderful story, it's quite a cliff to my right. Then Sir Jim and whomever he might have been on that day at the Grenadier pub, they say, you know what, we're going to make a vehicle, and we're going to make it better, and we're going to make it utilitarian on the outside, so you know, but luxurious enough that you can drive it in Chelsea, and you can also drive it in the Baviaanskloof Nature Reserve, as I am doing right now, and also you know, equip it with some of the best in the game. So the ZF gearbox and the BMW engine, that kind of thing. And then voila, you have the Grenadier, the INEOS Grenadier station wagon, as they call it, rather American name. That's the full kind of, you know, the one with a double cabin and then a boot. And then this year, only a mere month ago, if I'm not mistaken, you get the Quartermaster. The Quartermaster is about 12 inches longer than the station wagon, and a very, very versatile car or a vehicle indeed. Okay, let's be careful here. Big rock. Now, I was driving this because we landed in Port Elizabeth yesterday, and I took it out of the airport with a convoy of my fellow journalists, and we started driving down to the Baviaanskloof Nature Reserve, and you know, on the road it does feel a little wobbly, but it feels quite detached on the main tarmacs of you know, city tarmac, let's say. But once you get out to the you know, the outback, let's say, I know that's not the correct term, that's in Australia, but once you get up to these challenging mountain roads, it's really, really interesting. And by the way, fun fact, these roads, you know, you would have thought, you may think, or you may ask rather, you know, who in their right mind would have made these roads, made these tracks, you know, what was the reason for it? But I was told earlier today that these were actually all based on, so there's literally one way in, one way out of this valley, this nature reserve, and these were the tracks that elephants would have made many, many years ago, and then the humans that came afterwards, they merely used what elephants used and kind of dug a more prominent road. Not that prominent, if I'm honest. I mean, it's still very gravelly, a lot of ruts. Ruts is one of my favorite words. It goes back to when I did the launch of the Jeep Gladiator, funnily enough. But of course, the Jeep Gladiator, which is also a pickup, unfortunately being discontinued from what I heard from Jeep. We'll have to verify that news, but that's what I've heard. But I was at the wonderful launch of that back in 2018 in California, and I don't know, the word ruts just reminded me of that. Okay, let's just be very careful here. These are some fantastic roads, just going up left and right. Unfortunately, my GoPro came off a little while ago, even though I captured some great footage of the wading feature crossing a rather deep river. And I was, because, you know, I do these videos both in Turkish and in English, and in the Turkish version I was saying that this GoPro kind of suction, I used it on the Asperina circuit many years ago while driving the Lamborghini Huracan Evo, and I drove about, I don't know, 315, 320 kilometers speed on the Asperina circuit, and I recorded it. That video is on my YouTube channel, should you wish to have a look at it. Rather nice video, if I may admit, even though I did that in 2019, I think. I only posted it recently. That survived. However, funnily enough, wow, that's quite a fall there. Keep your eyes on the road, Alp. Don't look down. Don't look down. But yeah, so that survived the 315, 320 kilometers on the Asperina circuit, but at the Baviaanskloof Nature Reserve, it only survived about 20 minutes and then it came off. See, you've just come over that valley, and then, my God, you're into another beautiful scenery. As far as the eye can see, just green, lush green. Again, I don't have my heart rate monitor on, but it would be quite high up. I actually heard yesterday that one of my colleagues, as we were coming up the arduous roads, I think he did, well, the watch thought he did about 4,000 steps going up the hill. I think it must have been his heart rate going so high that the heart rate monitor thought, you know, this guy must be doing some relatively strenuous exercise. Now, to give you a little bit of info about the Baviaanskloof, it is South Africa's third largest protected area. It is a World Heritage Site, and it has some very, very interesting facts about it. The area is actually 0.5% of entirety of the African continent. However, it is home to about 20% of the plant species that is on this wonderful continent. It's also home to the black rhino, which is fast disappearing. However, it's being conserved very well here, and the guides over here have told us that they're actually coming back. They're making a comeback, and they know that because of the kind of dung that they find, and apparently how they differentiate between black rhino dung and other dung is black rhinos actually bite into things that they bite into at a 45-degree angle. So that's how they know. But it's a very, very fascinating part of Africa indeed. Very, very rich in plants, in animals, and it is just a magnificent, magnificent place to drive, to just be at. Well, here we go. Now we're going to be reversing down the mountain, from what I understand. So this is rather nerve-wracking, if I'm honest. It's always good to do it piano, piano, slowly, slowly, because you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to go down these hills. There we go. There we go. And then hopefully that'll clear it up. Yep. Wow, that's close. That is close, that is close, that is close, but we're good. Okay, now, down the hill we go. Down the hill we go. And in many ways, I think going downhill is slightly more difficult than going uphill, because you kind of have to retain balance. You kind of have to retain composure more than you are going up. So let's concentrate and let's get this done. But the overall consensus on this beautiful car is that it really does whatever it says on the tin. It's rugged, nature. It feels right at home in these challenging roads. And of course, I'll pretend that my expert driving has something to do with it. Drive sensibly, especially off-roading. Gotta be sensible off-roading. And, and really just enjoy the fantastic scenery here. It is just beautiful. Now, when it comes to the interior of this INEOS Grenadier Quartermaster, it's quite brilliant. And I'll tell you why. First of all, you've got this center console right in the middle, infotainment taken out of a BMW. Of course, they've bespoked it for themselves. So it's not particularly fast or intuitive or impressive, but it definitely does the job. And you can get an array of information from it, from your tire pressure to the altitude and that kind of thing. So it's rather nice. Right in the middle, I'm a big fan of analog buttons. All the analog buttons are over here. So you've got your AC controls right at the top, analog, 1, 2, 3, great, these 3 knobs. Then you've got your demisters, second row, AC controls, your hazard lights, and right at the bottom you've got your start-stop button. The start-stop, that automatic thing that I really dislike. Then you've got, not about this car, I just don't like it, but apparently it's good for the environment. And then at the bottom you've got your parking sensors and your radio. So those are kind of the analog buttons that you have there. Great. Then in the middle you've got perhaps the most modern looking part out of the whole car is the gear shifter, the gear knob, which is straight out of a modern BMW. Kind of looks interesting, but I always like BMW gear shifters, so gear shifter, that sounds very American. Gear knob right in the middle. And then you've got your low and high gear ratios here. Very old school. You got to lift it, put it up, down. Very cool. Right in the middle, you have some more buttons that I shall tell you about in a moment. Not now. There we go. Bit of straight there. So you got audio, FAV, off-road. When you press off-road, it'll reflect right onto the center console here, the infotainment. Then you've got back, going back. You got menu, and you've got other options. And then you've actually got this knob in the middle as well, much like an iDrive, I believe that they call at BMW. It's a different knob, similar concept. Ooh, that is tight. So that's pretty much the interior. At the top, I'm going to tell you at the top once I stop, because it'd be very irresponsible of me, especially now you can see it from the camera in the front, to be talking in these roads. I want to get out of here. Oh, there we go. Whew. Heart rate went up over 100 right there. So you've got an array of controls here, including the weight function, the kind of the axles, diff controls, and that kind of thing. They're all up here. That is the interior. You've got 3 trims over here. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a moment. And then what else you've got? You know, it's just interior is I wouldn't say bare or utilitarian, really. I mean, even though that is the concept here, but it's it's fantastically done. It does exactly what it needs to do. Very simple steering wheel. Oh, let me tell you about the steering wheel. You've got cruise control on here, volume controls here. You've got a toot-toot here. A toot-toot is a rather gentler way of warning the cyclist, that shouldn't be on the road anyway, to say, please move over. And then you've got the actual horn in the middle. That's a bit more beefy, but that's a rather nice idea, actually, to warn, you know, whatever it might be in a more gentle way. And that's called a toot button, and it's got a little cycle right on the button. Well, one other thing I should perhaps mention is there is no gauge cluster in front of you, whether it's a left-hand drive or a right-hand drive like the one I have here, because of course South Africa is right-hand drive. Instead, you have here all your warning lights. So I see that my tire pressure is low because we've deflated the tires to about 1.8 bar. It says that I'm in off-road mode. It says that my diff is locked, and it says that my lights are on and my ESC control is off as well. Again, because of the off-road mode, but there is no gauge cluster here. There we go. Finally, we see some baboons here. Well, these are little monkeys. The other ones were baboons. I believe they were slightly bigger. Of course, it is their valley. We're only guests here. And the right thing to do is go slow, not disturb them. And, you know, wildlife is very important. We really should be very, very respectful to wildlife. Anyhow, now, out on the open, it's actually quite a comfortable ride, if I'm honest. You know, it's a reasonably uneven surface here, and I've got it in low gear ratio. I'm cruising about 35, 40 kilometers an hour. You know, when the bumps come, handles them great. When the turns come, very nice. You know, this slightly detached feel of the steering feel is actually very, very handy when you're off-roading. It'd be interesting to see it in the desert as well, because of course desert and rocks and ruts and these things, they behave very differently. I will be interested to drive this in the desert once back in the UAE, definitely. Well, as the sun starts to set, I catch up with my colleagues and we start driving back to camp. Luckily, there's some great moonlight, and the drive at night is just as epic as it was during the day. As we get to camp, Justin Bonello, one of South Africa's most famous chefs, has prepared dinner for us. Well, of course, it's Justin and his team who've been feeding us for the last couple of days and who'll be feeding us for the next couple of days as well. After a fantastic dinner, we gather around the fireplace and prepare for next day's adventure. Well, another morning. today a much earlier start. It was a heavy night last night. You can tell by my eyes and the way that I look. Pretty cold as well. Although I think they kept the generator on throughout the night because the heated bed, the heated blanket was nice and warm throughout the night. So, but anyway, now time to pack. We're gonna go down that arduous cliff again. Gonna be quite a drive, so I think we need to set off around 7:30 in order to make our flights from Port Elizabeth back to Cape Town, and then from Cape Town into Dubai, inshallah, hopefully. And yeah, so let's see how that goes. But another epic day of driving ahead of us, as epic as the first day we came out here.